Hey there, hello everyone on YouTube. This is Ryan Morgan, also known as thelovebat, and I just wanted to go ahead and make a quick little audio vlog here for everybody, in case you guys have been wondering what I've been up to, because I have had some relative inactivity in terms of posting any videos for quite a while. The last one I even posted was for StarCraft 2, which was a long time ago, and it was only an unboxing video. It wasn't anything really special or anything. And I haven't actually played StarCraft 2 in a while because I've been pretty busy, which is kind of why I'm making this audio blog anyway. But I am making this audio blog mainly because, one, I don't want to make anything with probably my webcam anymore. Mainly because, I don't know, the quality is just kind of crappy, and it was, for my webcam, the quality was pretty crappy. I think even when I first got it, it was really underwhelming for it. So I figure if I'm going to do anything, I might as well make an audio blog to where at least the audio quality sounds fun, and then just hopefully slap a picture or something on top of it to make the video look more interesting than it really is. So I'll just probably go ahead and try that. But I got a new mic, and it's an AKG 120 Perception 120 USB mic. So I can just plug it straight into my computer and not have to worry about any complicated components or boxes or anything like that to use it. And it was pretty affordable and in my price range, so I went ahead and bid on it and got it along with some other tools like a mic stand and whatnot to record this stuff with. And so I've been busy with some voice acting stuff lately and trying to make sure that I can actually get my setup to work, because trying to actually get stuff to work the way you want them in an apartment where the acoustics aren't really great, you have to really improvise with anything you have, like blankets, towels, pillowcases, to try and keep all the sound, reflection, and stuff out like that. So as I'm recording right now, I have a Vox guard to help, but that probably won't do the entire trick. So I have to close some doors to make sure the sound doesn't travel everywhere, and I have to try and pick a spot close enough to my computer, and it's just more complicated than I had possibly hoped for. But I think it should work out in the end, because for right now I'm not trying to do anything professional quality, but I'm just having to get used to the new mic and the sensitivity, and trying to make sure I can adjust to it accordingly, because I used to use a headset mic for all my audio recording pretty much. So it's not like right next to my face, and I have to go ahead and stand far away a bit. And again, trying to adjust with the mic stand and trying to, getting used to doing things standing up is a lot easier. It's not going to move my body around and stuff while I'm recording. So it allows me to get into it more, so I can wave my hands around like da 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 da. Or, I can get into the physical action of stuff while I'm doing recording and stuff, whether I'm just doing an audition for something or if I really want to get into character. Moving around makes it a heck of a lot easier, because if you're going to do something evil, being able to move around makes it a lot easier to get into the character, because you feel like you're physically doing what you think he's doing, like on screen for something, like, if you're doing a theater production, because I used to be in theater, so you had to do lots of physical movements and stuff to really express what they were doing and stuff. So I got a new mic and everything, and the quality is a heck of a lot better. And now that I'm finally learning how to use Audacity properly for sound editing to make sure that echoes and noises and everything else is cut out, that'll certainly help either audition pieces or sending in lines with people, which I'm actually kind of doing right now. And I still need to finish some of them, but I had some problems trying to get everything set up with my mic stand. I got a role, not really a role, but I'm doing some voices for a new sort of anime thing that someone's adapting from a manga that they made, and it's called AIM, and the person's really cool, and I've talked to him a few times and still trying to finish up lines for him for the first episode, so go check that out. It's a really cool concept, so don't want to ruin anything for you, but you can go ahead and read the manga, which is actually pretty awesome. So I got a role for that, sort of just doing voices. It's not a single character, but I'm doing general voices for it, so you should hear that from me, or hear me in that soon enough. Oh gosh, what else? Been a bit busy, getting sidetracked occasionally watching football because the Super Bowl is coming up. And personally, I probably want the Packers to win, but it's only because Jordy Nelson, one of my favorite wide receivers in the league because he's white, is playing for the Packers and used to go to K-State, which I'm a fan of. So I'm probably going to be rooting for the Packers to win. It should be an entertaining game. Of course, I should probably make a separate video about the Super Bowl because I'm a huge football fan, because this video is just about different stuff. But anyway, there's that. And I've been getting sidetracked a lot with sports. This is why I haven't done as much work and stuff. But hopefully one of these days I'll get around to actually finishing up the demo that I have for all the lines that I want to do for that. So that way I can post that up and hopefully some people will be interested in that. Also, I also got to see a lot of people for the holidays and stuff, and got to meet some new people, got to see some family members and stuff, so that also took out a lot of time with the holidays and stuff. So for a while now I should be free to go ahead and actually do some more stuff now in terms of work, and I've been trying to work very hard. I haven't played as many video games for the past several weeks, doing work and stuff and trying to get my new mic set up to work just right so that way it actually sounds good for the most part. And also I wanted to go and post this video. It was not just as an update, but since there's no time limit for the YouTube videos now, which is probably the best thing that they've done in a long time, because a lot of the updates that they have are crap. But this is one update that's good, because at first they upped it up to a 15-minute limit, and now it's an unlimited limit, even though the layouts are still crappier than they've been. You know, they keep updating that and it gets crappier, but this is the one thing, good thing that they've done. So now I can continue to talk as long as I want. I don't have to worry about a limit or posting it in parts or anything like that. And if I want to post a gameplay video of a video game someday, I don't have to worry about editing it into parts. So that's good. And related to that, New Year's recently just passed around, and I didn't exactly get around to making a video then about my New Year's resolution. But I wanted to, I just didn't really get around to it because I was really busy and was visiting family, finding out which mic I would get, and you know, all that other stuff, because I was still undecided at the time. And when it comes to the New Year's resolution, I guess I don't really take it as seriously, but this year was kind of different for me, because I guess I could finally say that I've really for sure found, you know, what my dream is, you know, why I use YouTube, and you know, what I've found from it being here, being on YouTube for almost 4 years now, and you know, what I want to do in life. You know, I think I finally found my lot in life, you know, what I really want to do, what I really enjoy, and you know, something that I love too at the same time. You know, not just having a job because it's a job and to make money and, you know, all that good stuff, because, you know, money's nice, but there's some things I'd rather do than make money, and if I really wanted to make money, I wouldn't have gotten into voice acting in the first place, if you know what I mean. But, you know, it's almost kind of surreal, because getting cast in a part for the very first time, you'll finally know what it's like to actually have someone hear your work, or to hear you give character to someone. Kind of almost surreal in that aspect for finally getting to voice something, because I'd gotten accepted for a few roles in the past for certain brawl machinimas that never really worked out, but this time is kind of like for real. So I mean, I feel really good about it. At first I felt really nervous about finally posting stuff that would, you know, you'd have to try and make it sound as professional as possible, but now I'm feeling really excited about it and really glad. And as part of my New Year's resolution, as that goes, I feel like I finally found my lot in life. I'm not going to let anyone else stand in the way. I guess I'm not exactly sure how to word it, but no matter what anyone else says, I'm not going to let anyone else take it away from me, because I found it. I'm going to work as hard as I can for it, and you know, if necessary, I might, you know, apply and get another job, so that way I can fund things that I want to be able to do. But for right now, I'm mainly just going to be interested in trying to find work in the voice realms or in the acting realms or voice acting realms, because it's what I really love to do. I might find maybe a radio station around here that maybe could use someone. But I've just been so tired of people telling me, what I can or can't do, or this and this and that, or, just get a job for the money kind of stuff, or work at McDonald's, you're not going to like it, but it's a job, you'll make money. I hate people constantly telling me that, or I've hated when people told me that you're lazy just because you don't have a job. And that might be true for a lot of people, but it's not true for me, because even though technically I don't have a job, I don't have it on paper, that doesn't mean that I'm not working hard, and it feels kind of insulting if you've ever been told before that you've been really lazy just because, that some other people have different views and opinions. But when you've been told by someone that that you're lazy and stuff, it really hurts when you've worked really hard to get to where you are now. And I don't want anyone else to get in the way of it now. And no matter what happens, I'm going to keep going for it, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go for my dream. My dream. I've originally, for my voices and stuff, I don't think I've told this story before, but originally, back when I was in high school, when it all really started for me to get into voiceovers, is that in high school I began to start listening to sports talk radio. Because, I'm huge into sports, and especially football. But I started listening to sports talk radio on some of the local stations because, it was free, and it was something to do after school when I wasn't doing homework or I was just tired from football practice. And so I just lay down and listen to it, maybe pop a bottle of Coke or a Pepsi, something like that. And so I started listening to all these on-air personalities and, how they had a voice and, not just the opinions, but, giving expressing their opinion, not being told, like, what you can and can't say. I know that the FCC has the regulations and stuff, but that's besides the point. Like, to hear on-air personalities and the way that they do things is that, and this is something I also heard recently in that Ted Williams video, the homeless guy with the golden radio voice, is that theater of mind is one of those phrases he brought up. And that holds especially true because in high school, people would sound on the radio much different than what you would imagine them looking like in real life, especially on their personalities. Because like when I finally was able to get on the internet and look up certain radio shows, they looked so much different from pictures online than what I had imagined them when I was listening to them on the radio. And so I listened to sports talk radio for many years. Started my freshman, sophomore year in high school when I first started listening to that because we didn't have cable television or ESPN or anything like that at my house. So sports talk radio is how I got the news. But then it kind of evolved from there, and I saw a movie called Pump Up the Volume, which had a guy named Christian Slater in it. Some of you have probably heard of him before. He's been in a few big movies, and he's done some voice acting stuff himself. And so this movie, Pump Up the Volume, it's about a pirate radio DJ in high school, and, he has a voice, and, he has his own sort of character. It's not, in the movie it's sort of a dual personality, but the way I saw it was being able to say what you wanted to say, have your own character, have a voice, kind of thing. And so after that, I kind of got to the point where, I was getting close to being a senior in high school, so I had to sort of figure out college-wise what kind of major I'd fit into because I could do music and theater stuff. I didn't really see theater going very far as a major because I'm not exactly a huge singer. I'm a lot better of a singer now than I was then because I've gotten into voice acting and it sort of helps your voice if you work on it. But at the time, I'm not exactly what you would have considered, a Michael Jackson triple threat to where you could sing, dance, do music videos, whatever. I was a pretty good dancer and, I could act pretty well too. And all that good stuff. At the time, I didn't have a good singing voice, so. what I was thinking of getting into was mass communications because I wanted to do my own radio show. I wanted to go ahead and eventually either have my own sports talk radio show or, have my own individual radio show where I could talk about anything that I wanted and, have my own voice. For people who heard what I was saying, if someone was to call into the show, I wouldn't tell them what they could or couldn't say. Or, I could say what I wanted to say and I wouldn't be dicked around by other people, telling me you can do this but you can't do that. And I wouldn't, at least that's the way I thought of it at the time anyway. I wanted to be able to have a radio show where I could talk about anything. We could talk about the tough issues, we could talk about funny stuff, I could talk about anything, because that's the way that I feel that radio should be. Music stations are different because you play music, but if it's a talk radio show, you should be able to talk about whatever the heck you want. And, I guess I still feel the same way, but the FCC and the government doesn't. So, but after that came to pass, I got into community college and I was on a music scholarship, so I was playing, trumpet and stuff, so I had some musical talents there. I didn't really last in college that long because I've never meshed well with homework or any of that stuff, so college didn't work out. Wasn't exactly able to get into radio and all that stuff like I had really hoped. So after that, I kind of floated to a job at a Dollar General and didn't really have much time for thinking about much of a career at the time. Even though, I'd grown up wanting to be a football player, but figured realistically that was impossible unless you're a freak athlete. I wanted to get into a radio show or do music or theater stuff possibly, and that didn't work out because of college. And now I was kind of unsure what I wanted to do. And so I'd worked at a Dollar General for quite a while, and I was kind of lucky to get that job. And so I got to being able to get used to working with people because I love people. My grandpa on my mom's side has always said that I'm sort of a compassionate person, and I believe that too. But working at a dollar store where there's not very many people that work there, you get to work with people a lot more, and customers usually come in more frequently and you see them again and again, so you get used to working with people that way. So I got to use my people skills and utilize them in that job, which I guess sort of led up to being able to not holding things back. You had to be able to go ahead and work. You had to show up. I worked hard, and I got used to being able to work around with people, employees, and customers that were a little offbeat or a little whack, whatever you might want to call it. So I got used to seeing things that normally you'd probably never see. And then after that job, which was kind of unusual circumstances how I left that job. So after that job, I was again unsure of what I'd be doing, after that for a career for the rest of my life. I didn't really know what was possible. There were things that I wanted to do, but I tried looking at things as realistically as possible as to what I could actually do. Because I've been told so many different things, given so many mixed messages, I just wasn't really sure what to think of at the time. I wasn't really confused, but it's like it's almost like you have to choose between appeasing the people in your family or having a job, earning money, this and this and that, or you can choose to go for what you really want. And I hate having to choose between the two of them because I shouldn't have to. So, of course, there was a bump in the road when I was working at Dollar General. I'd gotten into a really bad car accident that had set me back a lot financially. Thankfully, no one was actually really hurt. All I suffered was, I just suffered some minor sort of seatbelt burn and airbag burn, and that was about it. I wasn't really even hurt, and thankfully the person that had run into me, and they were okay too. So I was glad that no one was really hurt, but it set me back financially a lot, and after that it was really difficult to try and recover because I was thinking about buying a computer at the time, and that really set me back, but I didn't give up. So, and I'm glad that I didn't. But I didn't give up, but I was still unsure of what I really wanted to do. So after the Dollar General job, it kind of seemed, I don't know, I was unsure which direction I'd be able to go. So I went ahead and eventually moved up to where I am now, Lincoln, Nebraska, to live with my older sister and my brother-in-law. All this talking, I needed a drink of water so my mouth doesn't get all foamy. Oh, good stuff, good stuff. Well, anyway, so I eventually was able to move up to Lincoln, but I still wasn't sure what kind of job I'd get or what kind of career I might be able to take off on. It was just another one of those deals: get a job, make money, work hard, do all that stuff, but that kind of stuff only goes so far. Sometimes it's kind of a tough situation, but eventually I was able to go and get a job working in a call center. It wasn't for a telemarketing company. Instead of trying to sell stuff to people, instead I was asking people for money, donations, that sort of thing, for political stuff. And it wasn't actually all in all a bad job. Sometimes, when you're dealing with people that are almost always older than you, because I was only about, I think I was only 21, no, I think I was only 20 at the time. I was only 20 years old when I got that job. And so I got to deal with a lot of people that were older than I was. And, I had to get used to, having to research up on stuff, which is something I didn't have to do at Dollar General or anything else that I'd done. So it required stuff outside of, on the job training. So that was interesting. Oh, that was pretty interesting. But in essence, I think that actually is one thing that might have helped me out start off on the, working on my voice. Because, when you're doing stuff over the phone, you have to sound clear, you have to make sure that you can speak precisely and to the points, you have to make sure that people can understand you. You get used to using, headphones, or you don't get used to using the mics and stuff. I mean, that takes care of itself, but you have to get used to doing stuff, and you have to sound, good. You have to sound understandable and all that stuff, so that kind of helped me out a little bit too, indirectly. And you had to get used to working with people. And it was one of the first jobs to where, week to week I got feedback for stuff. And so it was the first time I really got feedback about how I was doing my job, daily, that is. So that was my first experience with that, because, how you might audition for something, you get feedback from someone on how you can prove it, or, something like that. That was my first experience with that, at least when it comes to my voice. And so that was an interesting experience. And then it was shortly before I think I got that job that I had started finding voice acting stuff online, like on YouTube and stuff, which is where it kind of started with the directly getting into voice acting. And I had found a brawl machinima by the name of Odd Brawls. I'd been browsing around for stuff because I think what piqued my interest was, again, the movie Pump Up the Volume, and I had been getting more and more into movies by Studio Ghibli, and games like Mass Effect, where voice acting takes a big precedence when it comes to that sort of stuff. And so more and more I'd been getting, that would be really interesting. I have experience in theater and stuff. Maybe I could get into voice acting because, I have experience and it sounds like fun, be able to do characters and stuff. I mean, at the time I didn't really even know what I'd be doing or what I was doing or what I'd be getting myself into at the time, because I was inexperienced, and I was, at the time, not introverted, but when it came to doing characters or doing acting, sometimes I almost felt like I was holding back internally. Not exactly on purpose, but it was just there. I needed to let everything out when I was doing stuff. So I had auditioned for this brawl machinima called Odd Brawls, who I'm still was then and I'm still pretty good friends with, the creator of that, Oddballs is no longer around, but that gave me the first big experience of being able to go ahead and try and contribute my voice to anything or do stuff like that. I wasn't actually very familiar with the uh, actual game Super Smash Bros. Brawl because I never actually played it before at that point, but I knew it would still be a way to contribute my voice to the character or to a character somehow. One of them being Luigi, which, it's a me, Luigi. My voice is a bit more developed now and I've worked on it more, but I guess even in retrospect at the time I thought it was still pretty good considering it was like my first time seriously giving it a shot. So I'd done that. And so I got to know the guy who did it, King Crone. There's some other people that I really got to know and I'm still friends with to this day, even though it was a long time ago. It seems it's like a year and a half. No, like 2 years ago, I think. It's almost 2 years ago from when that happened. And, well, this guy needed a lot of voices, so I went ahead and helped him scout out some voice talent and try and direct them, like, hey, do you want to audition for this thing? It looks pretty cool. The concept looks pretty good. And some of them were able to do it. And eventually he was able to get enough voices for it. And, oh man, that process. It was an interesting process because at the time I didn't know about things like Voice Acting Club, Voice Acting Alliance, or all that stuff that I do now because I had been around YouTube for a long time, but I didn't know any of the other resources out there to where you could actually scout out for talent. So I'd look up for other audition videos or look up voice acting or Super Smash Bros. Brawl Machinima or stuff like that, or anything else that might have people that were auditioning for stuff, or try and find other people that were looking to audition for something. So I kind of did that just directly. It wasn't a big fancy process, but I just messaged people about it for him. I guess I was just trying to do him a favor, just trying to help. And so he eventually found everyone he needed, but there's still like 4 or 5 people from that who I'm still friends with, even though the machinima never really materialized at all. So that was a big experience for me, and if it weren't for that, at the time I wasn't really thinking about it this way, but if that would have never happened, I may not have ever found my lot in life of what I'm doing today. Things might have been extremely different. At the time, I still wasn't sure what I'd be doing. I wasn't really positive about it. I was still unsure. I wasn't really sure where life would be taking me. And if it weren't for that, then I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I mean, sure, there's lots of problems that you have in your life, and you have to really overcome them at certain points along the way, but what happened there was basically the crossroads, the turning point in my life. And, it's the part where realizing after all the hard work I've done since then is that I don't want anyone to get in the way of my dream. And there's a few other things I auditioned for and had gotten a role for. There's another machinima that I had gotten a supporting role for, and I don't think it's around anymore, but it was still pretty cool to get a role for that and know that my voice or my work was considered good enough to make it. And then since then I've been, talking to people off and on. We've had a lot of good times too. And, a lot of people might think lowly of that kind of thing, to where, how on earth could you be friends with someone that you just met online and you've never even met them before in real life? Well, the problem with that is that, you don't realize that, some people don't realize that when you're talking to someone online or YouTube or any other source, there's a real person on the other side of that conversation or that comment, even if it's just on a forum. There's always a real person behind the username. It's not just an anonymous. It's not just an anonymous robot. They're real people, And heck, there even been at times meetups for people who post videos on YouTube so they can meet each other in real life. And I've seen some of those videos before, and people seem to get along just fine. So I could honestly say that I call some of the people I've met through the voice acting stuff on YouTube or other places actual friends. And again, we've had a lot of good times. There's one time when we had a joke when we were talking on Skype one time. Me and a few buddies of mine, and we had just been joking around. We had made a sort of a Canada joke about one of our friends at the time, and we were laughing for like 2-3 hours after that. And I had never ever laughed that long with anyone at school or anything like that. And those were good times. And I still consider them good friends today. And again, if it weren't for them, it may not be where I am right now. And I just want to give a thank you to them. They probably already know who they are if they're listening to this. But to me, it is a big deal. To them, maybe not so much, but to me, it is. Because in a way, they did help me. I mean, if it weren't for that brawl mission I was being up, or Red versus Blue even, which is a mission I've been familiar with for a long time. Before Red versus Blue, I didn't really even know Machinima really even existed. But so, just wanted to say thanks to all those guys. You know who you are. I might go ahead and put them in the description so that way you guys can go ahead and be like, yeah, man. Yeah, man, So after that, that was like in 2009 when all this stuff was starting up, and we were talking a lot on Skype and hanging around each other a lot and really getting into stuff, working on stuff. At the time I didn't have my own computer, but like I said, I was living in Lincoln and sharing an apartment condo thing with my sister and my brother-in-law, and so living with them using their computer. So I got to at least had a chance to do stuff, and I was glad that they let me go ahead and do work for this stuff. And they allowed me to go and do some things on there, and although they did get kind of frustrated sometimes when I was talking with people on Skype, and like I said, laughing for 2 to 3 hours when it's like at midnight and they're trying to sleep. Sometimes it gets kind of annoying for them. But I don't think I couldn't hold back laughing so hard some of those nights when they would get frustrated at me. Oh man, that was so funny some of those times. But thankfully I have my own computer now, so I can laugh my butt off all I want, and as long as I'm not loud enough to disturb the neighbors, and usually they're awake pretty late anyway, then we're fine. And usually they sometimes have loud music in the neighboring apartments anyways, my neighbors, but we're cool about it. So oh geez, pick up. All right, 2009. Don't want to go off topic here. So 2009, and getting late in 2009 now, so after the summer of talking with people a lot, talking about doing some certain things, trying to make a long story short here and not give all the specifics. So one of my buddies, or a few of my buddies, were just getting involved in some different projects after the Odd Brawls thing, and we'd gotten to know each other, and took a bit of a different turn. Then I'd started finally getting some more video games and stuff, and I'd held my job at the call center for a few months, and then they had let me go, and initially I was really disappointed about it, but I don't really hold a grudge against them now, because I know that sometimes business is business, and maybe they didn't really want to, but maybe they didn't have much of a choice, and they told me that the job wasn't really right for me, even though I worked really hard, so I know that they weren't trying to be mean about it when they had let me go. And then initially, again, I was somewhat bitter about it, but I knew that they didn't really mean it personally, so since then, I've actually had a chance to talk to some of my former coworkers on the street, so it's like no harm done. But at the time, then I was like, financially, what the heck am I going to do? It's another one of those things. But of course, you might be wondering, what am I doing financially now? You don't have a job and all that stuff. Well, It's a bit complicated, but the short version being that my dad had passed away when I was 16, and I have Asperger's syndrome. And so I was having Asperger's syndrome. I had seen a doctor also around 2009, middle of 2009, before I got my job at the call center. I'd been seeing a doctor because my older sister's a nurse, and so she suggested I see a doctor about something. And I'd seen a psychologist before, back in high school for like depression and all that stuff. At the time, I didn't really think it was that like depression and stuff because I'd taken an online psychology class 2 years in high school, and so I thought I had something, but I wasn't really sure what, because I was different from other people, but they treated me just like everyone else. I was kind of a funny guy in high school, but I'd seen a doctor, and she said without a doubt that I had Asperger's syndrome. And for those that don't know what it is, it's sort of a mild form of autism. And being a mild form of autism, it's sort of like high functioning. And so I can still do things that a lot of people do. It's just most people with Asperger's syndrome, they generally have troubles with communicating to people. Sometimes, I guess saying things. I guess when it comes to communicating, saying things what they really mean to say, sometimes it's kind of hard for them. Or just socializing with people and not boring people with random chatter or going off topic sometimes, which you might have already noticed where I'm doing this audio blog. Sometimes I tend to I stray off topic, but it's still related a little bit. But with Asperger's syndrome, for me personally, it doesn't really make that much of a difference having it. But having Asperger's syndrome, and my dad, he passed away when I was 16 and everything, and so eventually I was able to, because I have Asperger's syndrome, I'm at least sort of stable financially right now. I really do want to work though. At least I'm thankful that financially I'm stable and all that good stuff. So I'm, call it a coincidence, call it an act of God. I'm really blessed, I guess you could call it, to have at least some financial stability so I can really pursue what I want to. And I guess I'm just really thankful, because after I'd lost my job at that place, I almost thought that, oh man, my life might be over again. I won't be able to have my own apartment anymore. I might have to move back to Kansas, live at my old house. I thought that might happen again. And I was fortunate to not have to do that. So, and then after that whole debacle, so I started trying to consider, what I'd be doing with my time. So more and more I was still doing voice acting stuff, but at the time it wasn't really even semi-professional looking at it now. But I was still trying to do it for fun. I still wanted to do it, possibly as a career. I also eventually thought about trying to get into the pro gaming circuit, either doing things like StarCraft, because that's just immensely popular, or, many other assortments of games like Madden, because I've actually done, I've actually done pretty good at a few Madden tournaments before. There was a local Madden tournament where I was able to win a game, and well, actually, I still could have done better, but I was really sick that morning when I had gone because I was just kind of sick. But I'd still won a game in a Madden tournament, local Madden tournament a little while ago, and I've already done some actual gaming things, tournaments and stuff. So I thought maybe I could get into that, but again, it's one of those things realistically to where it'd be unlikely for me to be able to get a job out of it unless I was on a reality show and I'd won a prize or something, and I had gotten attention, and I knew that was still just a non-chance there. So I was able to throw that out the window because I'm still a gamer. I still have playing games. because I have tons of them. I have a huge backlog right now. But right now, I'm at that point. This is around the beginning of 2010, and then I start getting to the point where I have to seriously consider where I'm going to take my life from there. Turn 21, like, woohoo! Turn 21, and I still don't drink beer, alcohol, or anything like that, just so you know. I didn't even drink any alcohol on my birthday. Sad me, but, I prefer other things, believe it or not, when it comes to drinking, at least. I'm trying to make, good, better habits, and at least when it comes to the past month or so, when it comes to voicing, having good, I've been trying to steadily build up good habits, eating and drinking wise, for health, so that way, part of it has to do with my dad passing away, going back to that. I don't want to have something happen to me that I thought that I could have prevented by just eating better and all that stuff. But one thing that I kind of feel, going off topic again, about my dad dying, is that a few things, actually. Even if it meant taking away, the financial stability and all the money and stuff like that from, him dying and me being an OSB, and OSB is short for aspergers. That's what they call themselves sometimes. I'd trade any of that stuff away just to have my dad back, because at first I didn't want any sort of funding or any compensation for me having Asperger's syndrome and my dad dying and all that stuff, benefits or whatever you want to call them. Don't want to get into details to bore you guys, but at first I didn't want the money because I thought that I wasn't really earning it, or I wouldn't be earning it. But every time I think about it, if it ever came down, I'd give it all away just to have him back. Sometimes it makes me sad, but at least I know that I'm better for thinking that way, because people value money more than that stuff, I'd trade it all in for having him back. But one thing that does give me comfort, though, is knowing that my dad's looking down on me. I know that, he's glad that I'm able to go ahead and pursue what I want in life, because, I'm actually able to do it. So I guess I can't really feel too bad. But, at first I didn't feel like I was earning, what I was getting, so to speak, and, now I know that, you shouldn't feel bad about it, just because certain things happen a certain way. And so that kind of drives me every day to keep continuing to go on and, strive to get better, in voice acting or everything else, or, just taking care of myself. So we're back to around after 2010, and again, trying to make a long story short here, because if I make a long video boring you people, you probably want to hear it all. But how do I put this? Trying to find out what I really want to do it was really hard at first, but eventually I sort of, I started, buying more games and stuff, playing them a lot, and then I got to the point where, I'd rather go ahead and start actually working more than just playing games more, and, I didn't want to feel like I was lazy. I didn't want people calling me lazy either, because I didn't have a job. So since then, I've been trying to work really hard, and there have been times I didn't have as many chances to go and talk to some of my buddies online and stuff that I'm friends with, or, use Facebook and stuff. I didn't really start using Facebook until maybe around a year ago, maybe. I haven't actually been using Facebook for very long, but I use it a good deal now for communicating with my friends when they're not on Skype and whatnot. And I've also started using Newgrounds a bit more too now. I'm gonna probably start posting some audio stuff there if I ever do a voice acting demo or anything, because I know that it's a good place to receive critique, more so maybe than YouTube. I'm not quite sure. I think YouTube is a good place for it too, but Newgrounds is a pretty good spot too. But so what's your guys' dream? I guess that's what this video boils down to. Other than all that, everything else is fine. But what's your guys' dream in life? I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, you're not gonna let people get in the way of your dream, or what it is you really want to do? Because I've had times where, I didn't think that people would exactly be supportive of certain stuff. Like what I really wanted to do. And, to help my sanity out, I vowed that there are certain jobs that I just would never get even for the money. Or I wouldn't want to just apply for a job just to work it for the money, when I knew I could be working really hard in other areas to try and better myself. And I know that I'd probably have to get a job if I'd have to get a job if the financial stability wasn't already there. I mean, I know that, but right now, I'd rather really work hard on what I really want to do, even if I don't have a job right now. That's my dream. I mean, it's really what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I know I can do it, and I know if I work hard at it, that it will happen. So do you guys feel the same way about it? Do you even know what you want to do? Do you know what your dream is? I have my dream. Other people have their dreams and what they want to do, and what they have in mind, what they think that they're capable of doing, or where they're going, or when you reach that crossroads in life to where you have the path set out for you, or the good path, the right path, the bad path, the bumpy road, whatnot, the old brick road, wherever life takes you. I mean, I know that right now is pretty much the crossroads of my life. I think usually right around when you graduate high school, and then right, I guess, where I am now is generally the two biggest crossroads that I've hit. Because after high school, it's like you're an adult now. You have adult responsibilities, and there's lots of new things you can do, but there's far more responsibility than you could have ever imagined. And right now I'm sort of at another crossroads in my life to where, I know what I really want to do for sure now. I know I can do it. I have to work really hard at it, but I'm not going to let anyone else, get in the way or try and, talk me out of it or something like that. Or, get such and such job, make money, do that kind of stuff, because, I'd rather do what I love more than anything than make money. And I hope that you guys go for your dreams too, because it's a big deal. I mean, even if it gets tough, don't give up, because, sometimes things will get tough for you, like it did for me. And just because they're tough doesn't mean that quitting's the thing to do, because, quitters never win, and winners never quit. And I know that if you keep going for it, then you'll eventually reach what you're aiming to do. But I guess it's usually something that's only you can answer, and that not very many people, there might be a select one or two people that are really close to you that might be able to help you go down the right path, select the right choice, make the good choices, and not do things you're not supposed to do that could really screw your life up. It might be those one or two people that might help influence the path or your decisions to go down the right path, or what you want to do kind of path. So go ahead and let me guys know what you think. You don't exactly have to comment about how I came to be into the voice acting realm or stuff like that, because it's actually, there's still more I could tell about that, but I know that if I made it any longer, it'd be probably too long. So I guess if you wanted to talk to me about it or just message me about it, maybe I could try doing that way. But I think the short version's probably better because it's just way too long to go ahead and just talk about unless I was just talking about it in person. But go ahead and give me your feedback and let me know what you guys think. And go ahead and let me know what your dreams are and where you think they're going to go, and what's your dream? Why do you YouTube? Why do you use certain websites often, like say Newgrounds, for example, or Facebook, or why do you do do anything? I guess, like, why do you go ahead and certain things you do, like why YouTube or stuff like that is pretty. I want to be able to make friends and stuff with that. But just go ahead and let me know what you guys think about things like that. Why do you YouTube? Why do you use Newgrounds? What do you do with do you consider people online actual good friends? Do you really want to follow your dream no matter what and follow through with it no matter what happens because it's what you love to do, or it's what you have set out for it in life, or because it's the path that you think is the best fit for you, or anything like that. But go ahead and let me guys know what you think in the comments section, and I'll try and go ahead and maybe get around to making another video or something here later, or an audio blog. And since I've done this all in one take, so I probably won't have any fancy editing or stuff because I'm on a new microphone, so hopefully it'll sound great. Anyway, I'll go ahead and talk to you guys later. This is Ryan Morgan, the Love Bat, signing out.